Hello. I'm going to try and record a little video of drawing because, in drawing, in art, artists in general, we are pretty used to working provisionally. And these days, we've really got to pull out all the stops and be as provisional as possible. Oh, Polo's going to help me draw today. So anyhow, Polo, don't get in the way too much. I just wanted to just give you an idea. Here I am. I'm setting up this drawing. I pretty much have this box set up in front of me in 1-point perspective, right? It's like straight on, and I'm kind of imagining those orthogonals going back. I could even imagine this kind of as a cube if I were to draw it in there like this. Thank you, Polo. And I've got this shape of my mobius strip in here. You can see I'm drawing very lightly. I'm using Ballpoint pen I got on sale a little while back. They had like 24 of them for $3 or something. So I can't pass up a bargain, so I'm doing this sort of very simple figuring out proportions, and I can already see that I'm a little off. So, but thank goodness I have been drawing really lightly. So I just want to gotta move this over a little bit. Fortunately, I think this line is going to serve now as this line right back here. I can start to look at the negative spaces and adjust my proportions accordingly, right? So, there's the back wall. This comes forward here more or less like this. Got a bit of overlap here, so this maybe comes down a little bit more. This form comes down. I'm growing it just a little bit, you can see, that's okay. I've got plenty of room, right? And just looking at those negative shapes, I have a nice triangle in here, which is bisected by, I'm starting to notice the value now. So I have a little shape here. Off of this shape, I have enough room to draw a bit of a shadow so that I get that proportion a little bit right? And I can see that this is going to help me find this proportion of this inner wall because I'm looking at that shadow back there. Right? I can draw this line up, and look, I've made a little bit of an adjustment. I can start to see other forms in here, other shapes of value, and I can even put that little stripe in there now. That might help me a bit. I'm going to have to go even a little bit bigger on this side, I think. So this angle is more than I thought. I'm just sighting it without measuring, which means I've just got to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more open to change if necessary. So this has to come down here just a bit more like this. I hope that you can kind of see this. Now I'm starting to look at value differences. I'm looking at the difference between this bright white and this darker background. Well, I've put a bunch of lines there, so I'm not going to be able to ever get this white as the paper again. But what I can do is I can emphasize the contrast between the foreground and the background. I can make this much darker here in the background. I'm going to have to move that over even more. Okay, and I can, by using hatching and cross hatching, I can start to build up those values. But I'm careful not to just start filling in that whole area because there's going to be little adjustments I have to make constantly to make it work. And one of the reasons why we draw the mobius strip is because it's a form that, you know, the inside becomes the outside and the outside becomes the inside. And so it forces us to deal with this, you know, not just filling in. We have to really pay attention to relative changes in value and shape, right? So I don't know if this is a little bit more complex, I think, than the first drawing. I sort of mocked up for this, but then did not record. So, but you can start to see I'm starting to find these little value changes in here. I've got this shift kind of in the wrong place, but it's okay. If you notice, you start to notice more things. So I noticed that this shadow is fuzzier along the edge, so I can kind of make it a little bit, I can adjust and make the change that I needed in the location of where that shadow started by softening that edge a little bit. So I can start to, so now I've made that too dark, darn it. But I need to pull this down. So I'm looking for relativity, right? So if I need to make that look a bit lighter, it means I have to make something else look darker next to it so that it begins to look like it has light on it. Okay. So probably not my most wonderful drawing I've ever done, but you know, I'm kind of getting there. I've got to get the shape of this kind of a shadow on here that moves along around the form, and I was thinking almost in terms of cross contour lines here. And I'm just comparing one side to another. And then I start to notice other things. I start to see this value in here. Pardon me. I'm almost using like a cross contour line in the back plane of that box just to make it look like it's following that flat edge of the form of the box. And I can see there's this shadow that comes along here is a very soft shadow across the back, which comes down here to this edge, and it's actually all the way across here and much darker than this form right here. I'm going to come over here to this corner and start to, the more I'm drawing, the more I'm noticing areas of difference and where I can emphasize that difference to make this drawing somewhat plausible, right? And there's a little more cross hatching there. So as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that there's kind of a value difference here. There's this stripe that runs along back here, and right along the leading edge of it is quite bright, and I kind of wanted to preserve that brightness, but I just accidentally went over it more than I wanted to. It's okay. I'm just going to purposely go in and make the area next to it darker so that that will in turn appear to be lighter. Hopefully. I'm going to darken that just a little bit more here, a little bit more here. Create the other edge right here. So I'm not going to make it perfect, but I'm going to get just enough believability here. I need to put that little bit of a shadow right down here. And I can see I didn't bring this down far enough. This has a shadow coming off of it too. So I need to bring this down. Now it all starts to make a little bit more sense. Okay, I needed to put that there. Then there's a shadow that comes down here. Hello. Hello, Margot. How are you, Margot? Are you helping? You'd like to help, I know. So, it's the way I want you to think about when you are drawing your own mobius strips in boxes. Find a box. Find a box you can put your strip in and put it in a context, okay? See how, if you could make an interesting composition in that way. And if I put this right here, I can start to make even little adjustments in the composition. I kind of want that back there. I could go really crazy following these patterns back here, but I shouldn't. Just know that this is here. I can even bring this paper down here, and this way I could draw the box underneath if I wanted, and so on. I hope this worked.